Hello everybody. We've just been admonished by Farmer Yip to get out there and start farming. So we will. Let me cycle through the equipment real quick. You may notice that the lighting in here is a little lighter than normal, and it's because I'm making some edits on the map, and every time I do that I find myself helped by adding an extra sun, which just sheds more light on things. Oh yes, it's been a little while since we've been here in game. I think the last time we were in here, we were working on our OSR harvest here. We've gone through everything. Can I toggle to the other guy? Rama. There's number 3. Alright. Let's get him going. We can at least get him cultivating. I was working on my... just go there now. I think I got 2 tabs. I was working on harvesting potatoes, and I've messed with the script in here, but it's just been abysmal. First off, I want to use my little tool to, yeah, there it is, the spikes going forward. You know, in some funny way, I think it helps. But I'm going to get him going. And what I was mentioning is I've just had an abysmal rate of harvest. So finally what I figured out, that was going on. And some of it was in the script, this Polko potato digger, however you pronounce it, at Polko. Whoop. But some of it just has to do with how the crop was set up in the first place. There, I want to see if I can... Look at that, I'm buzzing along, and it's filling it up much nicer. By George, I think that helps almost as good as if I had what I really wanted to have, which is a GPS mod, but I don't think I have the mental horsepower to patch it back from Farm Sim 13, which is when I think it was first available. Let's see, is it still on? Yeah, it is. Okay, so we're gonna buzz along here. So I don't know if you remember from last time, it came in somewhat, I wouldn't say quickly. It didn't come in nearly this fast. See, I'm not skipping as much. And by the time we get to the end of the field, I think it'll be approximately 90% full. Whereas, if I had to do this with the old script, along with the way the map was set up, along with some of the tweaks I made to the script, I almost think I'd be doing half of this field before I'd even fill up, this Polko. So, I don't know. I figure if I'm going to plant some spuds and haul them to market, it sure seems like it'd be nice to actually harvest something. So, now when I was testing it, maybe I took a bigger bite. 70, okay, I lied. I thought it was going to get us up to 90, but 70 isn't bad. 73. And then turn around and go up. Probably should be going around the outer edge instead of driving over the plants. But I'm a little more pleased with the results of this. Oh, come on, turn. Does that thing have a collision? Hopefully it doesn't. So I'm going to fill this puppy up, and then I want to show, if anybody... Did I turn this off? I did. Oh, good grief. Let me get that back up. Alright, let's try this again. still leaving some in the field. I'm going to fill this up, and then I'll show you what I did in the script in case anyone else who attempts to play this map wants a similar result. And it's real simple, real easy, and I made it just in one spot in some code that Dr. Hilty put in. And really, all I did was attempt to mirror the yield on potatoes in both root crops. Actually, I attempt to mirror it to what we would receive, I think, in Farm Sim 15, which is quite a bit more per hectare acre than what was shown in here. See, I almost have her full. Then I'll just kind of let it sit here a moment. 98, 99, 100. Alright. Full. Let me get rid of my little guides. Hop out. We're going to hop out of game real quick. Here's where it is. It's in this file called registerfruits.lua. And I believe, like, if I just pull up in here real quick, it's in Feldy, map fruits, scripts, and it's this one right here, register fruits. Let me go back real quick. And it's on the top lines up here. If you come in this Lua file, you'll see this is where Dr. Hilty was registering the new crops. So we have potato and sugar beet up here, and each one of the details that follows is something expected by the game that tells it how these fruits, are to work. Whether it needs seeding or is perennial, whether seeding is even allowed. Some crops may just be there and the player isn't allowed to seed them, and so forth. And so the attribute that you want to change is this one called liter per, what is that, square meter, cubic meter, whatever it is. Liters per square meter on the map. So previously in here, I think Farmer Yip had it set at 0.8 liters. I just bumped it to 4. Which is how much we get over on Farm Sim 15. I also bumped up how much we receive for the second one here, which is sugar beets, to be 3.5 liters per square meter. And I think intuitively that makes sense. Any of us that have ever dug up, a square meter of potatoes, assuming it's planted, you probably are going to get about 4 liters per cubic meter. So anyhow, this, like I say, was previously 0.8. I kind of think it was 0.6, maybe even less for sugar beets. Now it'll give us a decent result, hopefully. There's something else I wanted to share too, and I don't know if it'd be easiest just to hop in. Maybe I should hop in the Land Rover here to explore a few things. Let me drop this trailer and we'll just turn right around here. I'm gonna head out on the open road. Listen to that engine purr. Do you like that, Russell? He's the one that told me it sounded too much like a tractor. So we are overlooking here. We have quite a bit of crop to bring in yet. Meanwhile, the only work happening is Sadak is cultivating a field. But I've wanted to make some updates and changes to the map, not because it was deficient, but because there were some ideas I always had back in the day. When I was playing this map, with my boys, my sons. Oh boy, that's an interesting swathing job over there. And mainly what it is was to incorporate the idea of lumber or trees into the game. And as we all know, Farm Sim 11 really didn't have trees in it. I mean, well, it does have trees, but it didn't have trees you could cut. So, dead ahead is, this used to just dead end kind of between the fields. But dead ahead, if you look up on this hill, I mean, it's just a forested hillside. And so I figured what better place might there be to set up a timber camp than up on this hill. So I kind of extended the road over here, and you know, I'm not sure I've been up here in game before, so this is going to be interesting. I kind of had to swap between gravel and the sand. That looks a little hokey. All right, I'll admit that. And it's very hard for me to make a sloping road going up a hill. All right, as we get closer, look at that. We have the woodcutters have generously cut all these logs and have them sitting up here in a camp. You know what? That's not a bad stack. I was thinking gravity would do worse. Let me just hop out of game real quick and I'll show you what I mean. Inside the map editor, this is kind of where we're at. And you can see I have them in stacks, well, kind of stacks. If you look real close, they are just hovering right above ground. And these are all dynamic objects. So what's going to happen is when the game turns on at runtime, gravity's going to take over on all these objects and it's going to settle into the ground. Now it's kind of sitting on a slope, slight. It runs this way downhill and uphill over here. And there's a small gully kind of right in here. So I put up these fences that hopefully will catch any logs that attempt to escape. Because from here, I mean, it's downhill every direction, and I for sure don't want to chase them down over in here, you know, where it's pretty bumpy. But these are map embedded objects, so meaning they're going to automatically replenish every time the game loads. So I could literally haul every single log off of here, and if I open the session again, all of the logs would be back here again and could be hauled again for money. But within a session, if I haul them somewhere, they will stay put. But in the save game, they won't. They'll come back here. So if I haul them somewhere, I need to do something with them. And that something is what I'm still contemplating. I think the idea I had years ago was it'd be kind of cool to have a barge, maybe to drop them off in. And I don't think I'm smart enough to get the barge animated and to move off when it's full, but still might be kind of cool to put them on a barge. Or maybe a sawmill of some kind. We just didn't have trees as part of the game back here, you know, in Farming Simulator 11. So they're kind of ticklish to handle. The physics are awful compared to, you know, more recent versions, you know, even Farm Sim 15, you know, where the tree handling is so much better in there, you know, than this is going to be. So I've also been working on a trailer that will auto-load these things so I don't have to fuss with them and can hopefully just haul them down the hill. But that is one thing I've been working on, and maybe if I'm able to find it, I'll look for some construction, or not construction, but logging equipment that I can put up here. Make it look as much like a timber camp as I can. Yeah, boy, it's just so hard to get a smooth road. Yeah, there's bumps everywhere. Oh well, who hasn't been on a logging road and hasn't felt bumps? So that's one area I've been working on, and kind of in anticipation of maybe an eventual sawmill someday or whatever, I decided also to develop another part of the map And ultimately, I just put in another field. So let me just head down here, and I'll show you kind of where it is. Oh, that grass growing right through the road's kind of silly. So we've been down here before. We've been off to the right, and we've been around the bend over here, which we know continues, but I added something else, and here it is. I kind of made, we'll see how smooth this one is. Take a straight trip down over the hill, but then it continues kind of along the hillside over here, next to the sea, and I made this one much wider, so this should be flat as a pancake in here. I don't think I screwed that one up. But I just kind of built this route kind of with the goal, even though you can't see it on here, I'm thinking we need another island or something out here. And maybe the purpose of the island will be to have the barge, to have a sawmill of some kind, some place, where we can take these logs. That's kind of the idea of it in mind. But as you see, before there was nothing here but trees, a little bit of open area, what have you. So what I did is I came down here in the map and I carved in another field. So let's see if I can do this without falling in the drink. So there's another field up here. For better or for worse, stay on the path. And it's steep, just like every other field in here is. And you can't even get into the field till you get kind of to the bottom here, where there was a little spot to basically hop up in the field here. And so, at this vantage point, it's interesting. You could see some of our buildings up here. I think this is where the biofuel gets made, the kelp fertilizer. There are trees here, but they won't even appear until we get closer to them. When we're on the other side and we're looking towards where, this is sitting, all we see is the trees. It's close enough over there we can see it. So, yeah, the perspective is a little bit different down here. And obviously, these particular foliage trees that we're using, I mean, they leave little to be desired as it is, but that's what we have in this winter. So I didn't put a gate on any of this or anything like that, so I'm not sure what we'll do down here. When we get ready to plant the fields again in the fall, we'll come down here and deal with this one also. So now on the other side, we're kind of heading up the hill, and this, like I say, was kind of a booger to put in because I'm not very good at smoothing the path. And here where there's quite a bit of elevation rise that we're doing, the other one was just started kind of at the bottom, and this one here we actually climb, or if we're coming the other way, we're descending. So it was a little bit more challenging to try to put it in, and I don't know how I would wander down there with, a bale trailer or anything like that. Probably need to come in the other way. So this road, of course, continues down over to where we were, goes by the place where we sell wool and that kind of thing. So that's another change that I made, and yeah, the fields here is harvested. It looks like our guy quit cultivating, so I need to go wake him up. Oh, maybe I never even started him. Oh no. Yeah, I'm trying to think of too many things at once. One other major change that I made was based on a comment that I think Russell left me in one of my videos. I think he just commented and said it sure would be nice if you had to do a little bit more to pick kelp up out of the ocean. And I agree. What this had before was just kind of a drop off into the ocean. And you may recall from an earlier video, it just kind of dropped off here and went straight down. And I think it was intended by Farmer Yip that you would bring the front loader down here and maybe scoop out something from the ocean. Basically, there's a trigger right here. There was where you would pick up the kelp. Well, I decided maybe it'd be a little bit more fun if there was a full-on kelp bed. And I don't know if any of you have ever seen one in the ocean. Don't know how deep they are. I chose to make it shallow here because I need to get something in there to pick up the kelp. But I think in real life there are such things as kelp forest. It can be somewhat deep, but it grows from the bottom of the ocean, and there's these long plants, coming up to the surface, and they're all over. Although I do think in real life the color is more brownish. I think they can be green underwater, but usually when they hit the surface, I think they're more of a brownish hue. So to make one in here, I just kind of raised it up, and you know what? I probably can drive out here. Oh yeah. See, I had to make it shallow enough that, yeah, see, the water definitely comes over this. So yeah, there maybe you can see on my tires, it comes about halfway up on the tires. So I'm just in the water, and I am pretending that this, what is it, short grass? I don't know, it's the best I could think of to look kind of like kelp. So, and I made the trigger larger to pick up kelp so that it basically covered the whole area. So now, and I slowed down the rate at which it would pick up kelp. So now the guy can come down here and roam around and pick up kelp just as long as he doesn't fall off the edge over here, because if he does that, he's in deep trouble. I even found some old buoys. I think I got those off the Farm Sim 09 map, the Giant's Island. It just happened to be an object that they had on the seashore, and it was sitting on its side. I felt lucky to find it because I was looking all over for a type of buoy object, and I couldn't find one. So yeah, when you can't find one, then you gotta make one, and I'm not very good at Blender, but there's probably a free one somewhere on the internet. Anyway, I found one, and so now I have a kelp bed, and yeah, maybe it doesn't look like much, but I'm pleased. And just to show you in the map, if you ever wanted to do this, let's see, right now we're up at the timber camp, so there is our new field. It's kind of interesting looking. Almost looks like a duck head here and a duck over here, maybe. Double duck field, I don't know. Anyway, here's our kelp bed in the map editor, and so if I just click on here, it should hit the trigger. So we still have a trigger sitting over this entire area. And actually, let me pull up a different window. User attributes. These are the attributes of the trigger, and it's a special trigger that was coded, I think, not by Dr. Hilty, the FMC modding club. But anyway, it autofills, so when you run over, it's going to fill whatever drives over it. Fill speed was 10, now it's 1, so it fills at a much slower rate. So the guy is required to drive around a little bit until the trailer is full. So I don't know if that's something you'd be interested in doing in terms of putting it on your map, but that's one little addition I made here. I wonder if Yip would like it. I don't know if he'll ever see this. Maybe he thinks I'm destroying his map. But what can I say? I'm just having some additional fun here. Oh, and let me say one other thing. Look at these fields. Obviously, this here is barley, that's wheat, this is corn, and this is canola. When we look at it in game, if I just head out of here, we obviously have something very different going on. You know, we just harvested oilseed rape, which was never down in those fields, you know, in the first place. And now, and plus potatoes, we didn't have those down there. But now we're even cultivating one of the fields, so it looks quite a bit different, you know, just looking here than the view that we see in the map. So when this happens, and if you're ever modding the map kind of in the middle of a play session, you know, what can be really frustrating is when you make changes to things such as the grass, and then you say, how come it doesn't show in game? And so if you do want it to show in game, there's something you need to do, and I'll just show you here real quick what you can do. Let me pull up the save game. I happen to be on save game number 2. And this over here, we're in the mods folder. I am in the Feldy map. I have the Feldy map open. It's unzipped. And the base map files where they record things like the cultivation, when it's planted, the specific crops, the trees, the extra short grass, all these things are plotted as colors on these files that the editor then reads and interprets and presents it differently in the game and in the editor so we can see what we're doing. But where it stores those is in this map 01 folder. And so you'll see these PNG files, you'll see these GRLE files, girly files, whatever they are. And I think they're different too in later versions of the game. But what you want to do is, because these files, when you are the ones that open with the editor, so this is what you're going to see. But if you want to edit how it looks in your save game, then what you need to do is go pull those files from your save game. So when I did some of these recent edits, I pulled the cultivator density girly and the fruit density girly out of my save game, and I just copied them into this directory. Now you got to be careful, because when you put it in here, there's already a cultivator density and there's already a fruit density, and so it's going to overwrite those, or it'll ask to overwrite them. And since you probably don't want to overwrite them, the first thing you should do before you move them over is to come in here and just change the name to something like copy. And that way you can bring over cultivator density and it'll put it in there. And now the next time you open the editor, this is the one that came from your save game file. So it's going to open this, and it's not going to open the copy because it's a totally different file name. So hopefully that makes sense, and you can do that with any of those files, and that way when you're done, you can save it in the editor. And I'm kind of undoing what I just did. But as you save it in the editor, it's going to save the results to your girly files. And then what you do is you pull them out of here and put them back in your save game file. And then you should be able to see the results in game. Now you want to be careful. It's probably advisable before you pull them out of... that's okay. I got a session going. I should be fine. I was just saying to literally move that file. I lost my cultivator density. Yeah, it looks like I lost it. I'll get it back. That just means I have to hit save. So now if I go back, I should see somewhere, maybe. Yikes. Here I'm trying to show something, and I might have just messed something up. But anyway, you may want to make sure you make a copy over here too before you just undo this over here, or vice versa, before you move files around. And I may have to just eat my own, or take my own advice, because it appears I moved a file over and I don't have a copy of it over here. So anyway, just thought I would show the ad. So let me make sure, is that saving it? Yeah, it should save it. That's some of the changes that I made in the map, and I had a whale load of fun doing it, and there's still more to come. Like I say, I think for adjusting for lumber and timber and all that, you know, assuming we can get some trees going. And by the way, when you take those files into the editor, that's a great time to fix any bloopers that you made. I know I messed up some field edges, you know, with the cultivator once upon a time, and so that afforded opportunity to fix a couple of those areas, you know, where I had done that. So, but anyway, that's kind of been the goings on here at Feldy. So thank you so much for coming along. You could just hear the bell go off for my good friend Eustace Farmer, Atomic 67. I think of him every time I hear it go. But that means we've gone through and you've suffered through another 30 minutes of this. So thank you very much for the ad. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye for now.